Hello and welcome to Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 531. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, we've got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hello.
This week on the show, we're going to be taking a look at Sinners, which is out now on VOD platforms. We're also going to be going over some we're watching on the watch list and this week's new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think we'll go ahead and get straight on into our review. Again, we're talking about Sinners. This is directed by Ryan Coogler, also written by Ryan Coogler. I have a synopsis here. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. Kevin, we'll start it with you. What were your initial impressions of Sinners?
Pretty excited for this one.
Yeah.
Gotta say. And I would say that I was, for the most part, all in all rewarded. I had a couple qualms with this movie, but I think the main thing that works for me, that kind of covers up a lot of it, is that Michael B. Jordan is just having the time of his life. It seems like he is chewing this movie up.
Yeah, he's ripping up the scenery in this movie.
Oh my, yeah, he got the dual role, Smoke and Stack, which pretty great characters, I gotta say.
Amazing characters,
He's just having a ball, which I think just kind of won me over. Like any qualms that I did have, where I was like, he would come on and he's having the time of his life, and I'm just like, yeah, Michael, yeah, I'm with you. I'll forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic cast all around. Like you have a cast here firing on all cylinders. I'm a big fan of pretty much everybody in this, from even like some of the, like, I mean, you got Delroy Lindo in here. You got even Jack O'Connell as Remick. He kind of just he gives it his all as well. So very, and Miles Caton as Sammy, just
he was really good
across the board. Fantastic performances. Big fan of everybody in this. I thought everybody did a phenomenal job. Yeah, I pretty much I hesitate to say it because I am still fresh on it, but my initial impressions were that I loved this movie. I had such a good time with it. Visuals were on point. I loved the sort of dichotomy of this movie where you, on one hand, like it's almost like From Dusk Till Dawn. Like there's no way that From Dusk Till Dawn was not like an inspiration for this movie, at least partially, where for the bulk of the movie you have this, it's very different, like at one point there's a change and the genre of this movie changes, and I kind of love that when it's done right, and I feel like this movie really did it right.
I think that was the one issue that I have with this. I think it just could have done a little bit of a better job with that transition. Like with Jack O'Connell, like him being introduced, I thought was just a bit too early and just kind of gave it away. That when he shows up later, it's just like, okay, finally, now we're getting into it. Because you know that it's coming.
Yeah.
I just wish that they kind of cut that out. I think that would have really helped. But then again, very quickly, I overcome it because Michael B. Jordan's he's fucking killing it. So it's just like, oh, okay, well, a bigger surprise would have been better, but it's all right. It's fine because I had fun. Great time.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I think that the historical aspect of it is on point. If you're a fan of the blues music from this era, music history from this era, like there's going to be a lot to dig into here. I think in a lot of ways it's a very metaphorical film. I think at least one could look at, the vampires as being the people sucking the life out of the genre, stealing it, as it were. So there's a lot. I think that there's a lot there because it's presented in an entertaining manner. So it's not like it's bashing you over the head with like symbolism or anything, but I think that there is still a lot of kind of historical relevance there as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I mean that scene, that sequence when they start playing the music and it's like, floating through the juke joint, and you have the different genres that are coming up, and it's like transcending time, and I freaking loved that scene. I think that scene was one of the highlights for me of the whole film.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's little flourishes like that. There's a nice mix of like almost to me it was almost like the perfect balance and the perfect like pockets of comedy. Like just to like like he always found the perfect pockets to just throw in a little bit of comedy where there's just and it was mostly just like dialogue based, just the way that people interacted with each other, which
Yeah,
I think really cut through.
and I think that's something else to be said, at least in the current landscape of Hollywood. This is a completely original script written by Ryan Coogler. I thought the script was fantastic. I loved the dialogue in this movie, and this is a completely original script. It's not adapted from a book or another movie or a comic book or anything like that. It's just an original studio film, which is, I think, kind of rare these days.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's like it's two separate films. And the first film I love, and I could watch that whole thing, which is this them assembling a team. It's like any
Yeah,
other movie where you gather the team together because they're trying to put this juke joint. So it's just
in
them
one
driving
in
around.
one night. Yeah, they're trying to put together a juke joint in one night, and they do everything from buying the building to hiring everybody, getting the food, the instruments, like getting everything together. And that's a huge portion of the movie. It's just them planning the launch of this juke joint, which in and of itself, as you said, is
Yeah,
incredibly
I would have
entertaining.
watched I would have watched that. Even if there was like if there was no vampires, nothing showed up, no conflict whatsoever. They just were able to open the juke joint. Everyone had a good time, and they just went home at the end. It would have been a success for me. It would have been like, yeah, that was
Yeah.
a great. I had fun.
Yeah. I mean, especially because there was conflict there. Like they clearly had a shady past. We don't know where they got their money from at first. Like, well, I don't know if they ever explicitly say where they got their money from. They left town, they were in Chicago, evidently working with Al Capone. They end up coming back. They have a boatload of money to open up this juke joint, and like they're opening old wounds, and so there's like that kind of history there that they come back to, that I think they approach in a really smart way without doing lots of exposition dumps on us. And then there's the whole, like, the fact that this is like like a sharecropper town, where you have that sharecropper currency, that plantation currency or whatever it's called, and just them trying to deal with that and grapple with, like, okay, well, this money really doesn't, it's no good really, but at the same time it's like that's all these people are getting paid with. So there's like that whole angle with it as well, and this is aside from the vampire stuff.
Yeah, and I do. That is one thing that I really did appreciate because there was a couple times throughout the movie where it's getting a little bit uneasy because I'm like, man, I really hope he doesn't do flashbacks, which no flashbacks. I
No.
mean, like that deserves an ovation right there because most Hollywood movies, it'd just be flashback after fucking flashback, just over
Yeah.
and over again, just to give you all the information, just to make sure.
Flashback, voiceover, lots of exposition dumps, all of those little shortcuts in storytelling when you can't seem to express backstory organically through
Hmm.
dialogue, which is exactly what they do here. Like we learn a lot about all of these characters. Like Delroy Lindo's character and Haley Steinfeld, and like all of these characters, we learn so much about them without necessarily getting these like long backstories or flashbacks,
Yeah.
which I think is fantastic.
Thank goodness.
Absolutely, yeah. Also, shout outs to Wonmi Musako. She is amazing, and everything I've seen her in, I just
Yes.
love her in everything. So she was fantastic.
Yeah, and I did like how she was the one that kind of.
She knew that was the other thing that I thought was great. She knew exactly what was going on the moment that it started. She
Well,
was like,
no,
oh,
I do appreciate that she thought it was one thing, and then she
well,
was like,
yeah,
"Oh,
but
wait, no, this is slightly different."
yeah, like, but she knew the score like right away. She's like, okay, we're dealing. Wait a minute, okay, this thing came to life again. Oh, I think we're dealing with where were they Haiths or something?
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh wait, no, we're dealing with vampires here, guys. And like they were just on board, and then you had that fantastic, gear up scene.
Yeah.
And I do, yeah.
I was just gonna say you got a lot of like movie cliches in here, but I just they're movie cliches that I'm a sucker for. Getting the team together, gearing up,
Oh, and
all that kind of stuff. I love
and
that stuff though.
you also had that fantastic callback to The Thing where they all had to eat the garlic.
Mm-hmm.
That. I love that too. I think that's and the way that Delroy Lindo acted. God, yeah. I had a blast with this movie. I thought it definitely met my expectations. My expectations were very high on this, and I was concerned that they were going to be too high, and that there would be it would be a letdown. But I got to say, like this will probably stand as one of my favorites of the year. And again, like the visuals here, I loved pretty much all of the camera work. There were definitely some interesting choices. There's some interesting editing choices that they do here that, like, at first I was like, it's kind of weird the way that they cut some of the stuff. Like there's like some conversations and stuff that are happening that they cut in like a sort of a weird stilted way. But I think in the end, I think that it all comes together nicely and works. Good effects work too. You had a decent amount of CG going on here, but I thought it all looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'd say if you want to see some really cool vampire killing set in the 30s,
Right. Yeah. Yep.
check out Sinners.
With a great cast.
Yeah. Fantastic cast.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and give it a score. Were you going to say something else?
I was just gonna say it's not that complicated.
Oh, nope. All right. I am sitting at an 8 out of 10 on this one.
Okay. See, I don't know if I'm gonna commit to the 8. I'm like 7.5, 8.
Okay.
I'm right there.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. Sinners is available on VOD right now. Let's talk about some of what we've been watching. I believe that it is your turn this week, Kevin.
Oh man, my turn. Okay, so we threw on a movie that I kind of thought was gonna be kind of like a good time. It was our Friday night movie, which is usually trying to pick like a Tubi, horror movie from like the 80s, 90s, right?
Right.
You have a couple cocktails and you just have yourself a time, right? We picked the wrong movie for that, and that's George A. Romero's Day of the Dead from 1985.
Oh,
This is not a good time, dude.
Yeah.
This is not a good time.
Compared to Dawn, Day of the Dead is a much more cynical, kind of dark.
Dude, this movie is bleak, but like I wasn't expecting like how good it is. Like, I mean, it has its moments where it's not the best, performance wise and some of the writing or whatever, but like the bones of it and the majority of what's happening here is just like top shelf stuff. Like, this is just phenomenal. It was far more serious and well put together and thought provoking than I was expecting for my Friday night movie after having like 3 margaritas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just wasn't ready for that kind of like bleak existentialist that was just, it was not what I was looking for at the time. But I'm still glad I watched it. It was phenomenal. I just wish that that it linked up with the right headspace for me. Because I think I would have enjoyed it even more. But holy shit, like, one thing that I will give it for Sabini, and like the effects in this are just fucking incredible.
Yeah.
People getting their heads ripped in half. Oh my god.
Yeah, the effects in this movie are insane. The scene when all the arms come out of the wall, like that's that classic scene. Oh man, that looked so good.
Dude, when he has like the head completely removed, except for the little, like, I don't know if it was just like the Abdullah al-Magata or whatever from the brain,
Yeah.
and the whole head's missing. Oh my goodness, this movie's disgusting.
Yeah, it's a classic. It is definitely a classic.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you liked that. Let's see. I saw Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. We'll start it with that.
There you go.
Yeah, it's directed by Christopher McQuarrie. He's the guy that did the last 4 Mission Impossibles. So he's the Mission Impossible guy at this point. And I think that maybe this is the last one. This one essentially ties together all of the other Mission Impossible movies, like all the way back to the first one. So it kind of everything culminates into this one. I believe that this is like the 7th one. I'm pretty sure that this is the 7th one. And I gotta say, it's probably the weakest one of all of them. That's not to say I didn't enjoy it. Like, the set pieces are really exciting, thrilling. You know, that's sort of what you come to expect with this series. Some like insane set pieces. And that's what you get here. There's like one that's underwater where he's like navigating through this submarine that crashed to the bottom of the ocean, and like it's nuts. It's just and then of course the plane scene that you can see in all the trailers and stuff. Like, that plane scene is like, dude, it's wild. So yeah, a lot of the stunts and stuff are here. But it's just, there was so much that could have been trimmed out of this movie. It's 170 minutes, guys. 170 minutes. And it was way too long. Like, they could have cut so much out of this movie and made it like this really tight thriller, because there's so many scenes that are like, this one is like really big on suspense. I mean, there's always scenes in Mission Impossible where like, oh, you gotta defuse a bomb and you only have 5 seconds to defuse it. Like, that happens like 4 times in this movie. It's just constant, like, high tension, high pressure situations. And I feel like they could have really capitalized on that by just trimming out some of the excess stuff that's in here. There's so much. There's so much going on in this movie. I hope that this is it for the series. Like, at least this iteration of it. Like, I'm kind of like, I think that it's a good way to just close out, you know, Tom Cruise's run on this, and let's just call it a day. You know, maybe 5-10 years we can have somebody else be Ethan Hunt, but for now, let's call it a day with this.
Let's just shut it down.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just can't recommend it to see it in the theater. Like, when it comes out on VOD, like, yeah, give it a look. If you liked the last one, this is a continuation, a direct continuation of that. The last one was called Dead Reckoning Part 1, and this one's called The Final Reckoning. So, you know, they screwed up the naming there. But this is it. So, I don't know. It's fine, I guess.
Whatever. Fine. It's fine. I can't remember. Did I talk about The Faculty last time?
No, not on the show. No.
Okay. I thought I forgot. Speaking of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Well, yeah. That's the other thing is, like, I saw somebody on Letterboxd, and forgive me, but I can't remember who it was. They mentioned The Faculty when talking about Sinners, and I thought that was funny.
They have a lot in common.
Yeah, definitely.
Faculty. I never really got to see this movie. I don't know why, but rectified that. watch this bad boy. I wasn't. I don't think I was totally prepared for this to go full creature feature in the back half. Like I thought it was just going to be kind of like a body snatchers type thing, and it kind of plays out that way from the beginning. These aliens are taking over the faculty, and the students are trying to figure it out. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, I've seen this before, but different setting, cast, I do enjoy. Josh Hartnett's character in this is just one of the most ridiculous things you've ever seen in your life. That like you can't do that anymore. Like that was a '90s thing where you just had this fucking guy with the most ridiculous haircut you've ever seen in your life, he has like a full science lab in his garage. He's just cooking up drugs, and
putting them in the pens.
In the pens, parents nowhere to be found. All the teachers are make fun of his parents for being like losers. Like it's so fucking bizarre. It's not something that can happen nowadays. You can't do this anymore.
Nope.
And so I was enjoying it well enough, and then it went just full on creature feature, where it's just this big fucking, I don't even remember what the hell type sea creature thing. And it just kept getting more and more ridiculous. And I gotta say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Just had a blast because it was pretty dumb.
Yeah, The Faculty is one of my favorite movies, horror movies of the 90s. I think that The Faculty is a really great encapsulation of horror in the 90s. Like I think that it does a really good job of summarizing what 90s horror was like. Because, a lot of people think that 90s horror was bad, and in comparison to 80s horror, yeah, it was. But I think that it had its own charms.
And you got the 90s, like the teachers hitting on Josh Hartnett and shit like that. All that stuff is just like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, it's a different time. Definitely a different time for sure.
100%.
All right, that's The Faculty. Big fan of that. I don't. Maybe I'm making this up, but I thought I read somewhere that they're like remaking it or something. They probably. I don't know if that's just like wishful thinking.
And that's the thing. It's like
you know what? Yeah. That's I retract that. I don't want them to remake that unless they do it like a 90s movie, but actually commit. Like there's a lot of these movies that are like take place in the 80s, take place in the 90s, but they still sort of sugarcoat and whitewash things a bit. Like I want one of these movies to actually commit to what it was like back then with merciless bullying and like F slurs being dropped all the time. Just like, the ugly reality of that decade.
The absolute shit show that was the 90s.
Yeah.
With Hancock, the guy that did Companion. So it's going to be trash. Just a heads up.
Yeah, that sucks. That does suck. I don't know. Well, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I saw Mountainhead. This is directed by Jesse Armstrong. This is it's a dark comedy about a group of tech billionaires who they're like best friends, and they meet for this like retreat. I don't know if it's like a yearly thing or what, but they just kind of decompress, have a good time, have some drinks, play some poker. But this time when they're meeting, one of them who runs a company that's basically Twitter, he rolls out this like update that is like their sort of AI generation tools, and he has like no guardrails on it at all. So people are generating fake news reports and stuff like that, and it's causing an international crisis, basically. Like it's like there's riots, there's coups, there's like so much civil unrest that's because of all of this misinformation that's like popping up on his social media platform. Essentially what's happening on Twitter to a much larger scale in this movie. And it's just about them hanging out, being bros, and it takes a turn. I'm not going to give anything away, but it does take a sort of an interesting turn at about the halfway point that I didn't necessarily expect, but was kind of interesting. Lots of like corporate tech speak, which was very accurate as someone coming from the corporate tech sphere, but also like I hated it because I have to hear that in my daily life. And it drives me crazy. And the fact that this is an entire movie that like relishes in that corporate tech speak, just as like satire, it was still rough for me to get through. But Steve Carell's in this, Jason Schwartzman, Corey Michael Smith, and Rami Youssef. All of them are fantastic in this. Great, great performances all around. This is a very dialogue-driven movie because it's mostly just the four of these guys in this like incredible mountain mansion, which is in Utah, and just them talking. And they do such a good job in this, all of them. But I would still only give this like a light recommend. It's not like it's a comedy. You're not going to be knee slapping on this. You're not going to get the bunch of the belly laugh chuckles out of it. But there are quite a few really funny lines. So light recommend.
I don't know. There was something about, I haven't heard it in a long time, but your accent saying the word coup.
Yeah.
A PA accent saying coup.
Coup.
Love it.
I will frequently try to embellish the PA accent a lot, like just because I never hear it. Just because I never hear it. So
it's the perfect word, though. It's the perfect word for it.
Yeah, I'm always trying to bring out that accent and hone it as much as I can.
I appreciate it. I enjoy it.
We can't let it die, you know? We got to keep...
it's not. We
got to keep...
It's thriving.
We gotta keep
You're just away.
Yeah, we got to keep that accent going.
Oh, it's thriving. I think that's all I have. I only watched 3 movies.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll very quickly mention The Luckiest Man in America. This is directed by Samir Oliveros and stars Paul Walter Hauser as a contestant who goes on Pressure Luck, which was big popular game show in the 70s and 80s. And he has this unprecedented winning streak that concerns the producers of the show so much that like they don't even know what to do. And they're like, this is a true story, by the way. And like they're like freaking out because they're like, we don't have the money to pay this guy. Like this guy is bankrupting us right now because he just keeps winning and winning and winning. And it's a story that I was somewhat familiar with. I saw a YouTube video about this like ages ago. So I was kind of familiar with the story. And I was like, how are they going to turn this into an hour and a half long movie? But they'd actually do a very good job of it. I love Paul Walter Hauser. I want to see him in lots of things. I want to see him in everything. And he is getting tons of work now. So very happy to see that. Walton Goggins is in it, and he plays Peter Tamarkin, and he's fantastic as always. David Strathairn plays the studio exec, the CBS studio exec. It's very fun. I liked this quite a bit, so I do recommend checking out The Luckiest Man in America.
It's interested in this one.
Yeah. It really good kind of period piece. It takes place in 1984, but it still has that kind of 70s game show vibe to it.
Press your luck. That was the no whammies one, right?
Yep. So basically, the guy figures out a way to win like every time. Like when you spin the thing, and as long as you keep spinning, you can keep winning more spins and winning more money and prizes. And he figured out a way to stop the spinner every time without getting a whammy. So
no whammies.
No whammies. It was like an infinite money glitch that this guy figured out. And it's kind of incredible. It really is incredible.
No whammy run. Now we're
Yep.
talking.
Yep. Speed, no whammy run on speedrun.com.
I love it.
All right, let's take a look and see what we have in theaters this week. We got Ballerina. That's the big one. That's the John Wick universe one.
Yeah.
Slightly interested in this. I like all the John Wick movies. I think they're all very good. I like the world building, and this is a continuation of that. And I think it looks like it could be pretty good. We got The Life of Chuck. This is kind of an interesting one, adapted from Stephen King. I don't know if it's a Stephen King novel or short story or what, but it's Stephen King and Mike Flanagan. So,
How about that?
yeah,
How
it's
about that?
not a horror.
Mm-mm.
It's one of King's non-horrors. And then we also have The Phoenician Scheme. Very excited for that one as well.
Oh, nice. Now we're talking.
Oh yeah, I'm glad that Wes Anderson is just he's just steadily working. Like he's always got something coming out. It's not like some of these other like Tarantino where it's like once every 10 years.
Yeah. Yes. I agree.
VOD this week. Let's see. On June 3rd, we got Sinners. We got Daydreamers. It's a vampire movie. Couple vampire movies here. Double vampires.
We got back to back?
Yeah. Daydreamers is set in modern day Saigon and follows Nat, a young vampire raised in a secretive riverboat community that suppresses its thirst for human blood. We've got Aliens Uncovered, Moments of Disclosure. I don't know if that's it says documentary, so it's one of those alien documentaries, as if we don't have enough of those.
Nope. Sure don't.
We need more alien documentaries. I feel like there's been an alien documentary that's come out like every month for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I feel like it started with like the alien autopsy stuff, and then they just kept churning them out, boy.
Oh yeah.
We can never get enough.
Well, you can never know too much about aliens.
True.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's true. We got Baron's Cove on the 6th. Also on the 6th, we have Hurry Up Tomorrow. That's the one with the weekend. It's supposed to be like completely abysmal. Like 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, abysmal.
It looks like absolute trash. And I didn't realize that what's his name? It was his name Trey something?
Oh, Trey Edward Schultz.
Yeah, it's him.
I didn't know that either until like right this second.
His career turned to shit.
Wow. Interesting.
Yep.
I wonder how much of that is him and how much of it is the weekend that fouled that whole thing up.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know anything about the movie, so
I don't either. But if it has the weekend, not interested.
Same Z's. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Shoot. Got out of it by accident. We got I Don't Understand You, which is it's like a horror comedy with Nick Kroll and what's his name? Oh, Andrew Rannells. Rannells? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he's really funny. I'm interested in this one. This is going to be dropping on, I think, I want to say Hulu as well. So we also have The Gardener. This is a Van Damme movie that's like looks like an action comedy. It's in French, so I'm not sure if it's it looks very bad. We'll put it that way. We've got Magic Farm. We got Resurrection Road, which is a Western, and then we got Lulu. On Netflix this week, we got Straw. What is Straw? The single mother faces a series of unfortunate events that lead her down an unexpected path. The Tyler Perry from the looks of it. We got, doesn't look very good. KO, also on Netflix. Then on Hulu, we got Predator, Killer of Killers, which I'm actually pretty excited about. It's an animated Predator film, but The animation style looks similar to that of Arcane, the show on Netflix, and I very much liked that animation style. So, hopefully it'll be good.
Nice.
That's about it for VOD. Let's see what we have on Blu-ray this week. We got Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. I've had this on my watch list for the last few months. I've been meaning to get around to watching this, and
I've had this on my watch list for the last 20 years.
I was never interested in it before, but I went through a little peck and paw, not marathon, but I was trying to catch up with a lot of my peck and paws.
Mm-hmm.
And this was on the list, but I just didn't get to it. I still plan on it.
Well, yeah, you got another couple months.
Well, maybe now that it's out on 4K, Shout Factory put it out.
You've been on that 4K kick.
Yeah. I also got Monkey Shines coming out in 4K. That's from 1988, the George Romero film. I like Monkey Shines. It's kind of a goofy horror movie. Got When Evil Lurks coming out in 4K. Leaving Las Vegas. Let's see what else we got here. Freaky Tales, which has the VHS retro packaging. Got The Cruise from 1998. Life Stinks from 1991. The Rush from 1991. Malice from 1993. That's about it. What about Criterion's?
We got two. We got Gilliam's Brazil from 1985. Getting scratch your 4K itch. And then Paul Schrader's Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters. Getting the 4K, also from 1985.
Nice. I have a feeling if I went back and watched Brazil now, that I wouldn't like it as much.
Same.
Don't
do it.
Yeah, when I was younger, I really loved Brazil, but I think if I went back and watched it now, I'd just be like, ugh, no, thank you. This movie's too cluttered. That's what I think of when I think of Brazil. It's just cluttered.
Yeah, I just remember it. What I can remember of it, I'm just it seems like it was a mess.
Yeah,
but I don't want that verified.
Dark, cluttered, foggy, wires everywhere. That was like an aesthetic back then. The Max Headroom kind of cyberpunk style. That I like cyberpunk stuff, but that Brazil style, I don't know. I think it triggers my OCD or something. It triggers me in some way. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. If you could, please consider giving us a review on your platform of choice. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.